Thank you. Thanks for that introduction, and thanks for having me today. One of the disadvantages of going at this point is so many of the points that I was going to make have been made already by the previous speakers, but I'm going to roll through my speech anyway. So anyway, I would like to thank the Union of American Banks and Bank of New York and everybody else for inviting me to speak today. It's an honor to be here with financial leaders both in the private and the public sector from the Middle East, North Africa, and the United States. I also want to commend the Union of Arab Banks and the other sponsors of the US, Middle East, and North Africa Private Sector Dialogue for your commitment to sustaining this important forum. Partnership between the public and private sectors is absolutely essential to the success of all our work, and we must work together to confront today's challenges and ensure the ongoing security of the global financial system. Last year, I joined many of you in Beirut, where I discussed some of the specific terrorist financing and money laundering threats facing the region, including in particular those presented by Hezbollah. This threat certainly has not abated, though new threats have since emerged. ISIL, for example, has emerged as a new kind of terrorist group presenting its own challenges to the financial system that we must address, even while remaining vigilant with respect to the former challenges. Today, however, I would like to use this forum to take a step back and talk about our shared goals. Fundamentally, we want a healthy international financial system, and we want you to succeed. We want strong, successful, and secure financial institutions operating around the world connected to each other. Your success is essential to everything from domestic economic growth to international trade across borders, and your success underpins all our efforts to protect the financial system from abuse. Financial security, provided by the effective implementation of AML-CFT standards, is a backbone of each country's prosperous future. That said, this isn't easy. Just as effective implementation of AML-CFT is the key for a healthy financial system, poor implementation can have grave implications, especially when it comes to correspondent relationships, which are essential to the health of the global financial system. These relationships are the fiber that allows the international system to function, providing access that underpins both financial transparency and financial stability. But just as they are important areas for fund flows, cross-border relationships also carry with them higher risks. At a basic level, a correspondent bank is essentially opening its doors to another bank, giving it full access to process transactions. So the correspondent bank is exposed indirectly to all the risks of the partner bank, but without the first-hand knowledge that comes with direct customer relations. Banks recognize the higher risk nature of correspondent relationships and work to better understand and ultimately manage the risks they're facing. And in order to manage the higher risk and comply with their own AML-CFT obligations, correspondent banks heavily rely on their partners to implement strong AML-CFT procedures and effectively comply with domestic and international obligations. Currently, this is all happening in a risk environment that appears to be particularly sensitive. Some banks are increasingly scrutinizing risk, reassessing relationships, asking for more information, and possibly taking a more conservative posture. It's up to the bank to assess the risk it's facing and determine how, and in some cases if, it can manage those risks. All of this is really a function of a bank's internal decisions, incorporating all sorts of information that ultimately weighed against its appetite for risk and its capabilities to manage risk. Throughout the discussion we've had on this topic, we've heard the changes in the risk environment are attributed to everything from reactions to supervisors and regulators to concerns inspired by public enforcement actions. However, we've also heard some banks cite concerns about their own AML-CFT capabilities, as well as decisions based solely on revenue opportunities. In the end, the risk environment is not something that we or the regulators can change, nor do I think we necessarily ought to. That said, there are some areas in which I think we can affect change. We can and will continue to engage with the private sector on important AML-CFT issues and to discuss any challenges they might face. Open dialogue is essential to our work. This is why we're all here today. And our industry engagement will continue to inform how we develop policy. I assure you that we will continue to develop smart policies designed to achieve our security goals in a way that works for industry. Our policies and expectations also need to be clear and well understood. So whenever appropriate, we will take steps to ensure the clarity of our guidance, as well as making sure that our guidance supports industry in their efforts to identify risks. Again, policy needs to be effectively implemented in order to work, so we're working as a team. We will continue our efforts to promote effective supervision both at home and around the globe. Effectively supervising financial institutions is the cornerstone of an AML-CFT regime, and it is key to demonstrating to the world that your country's banks are upstanding global citizens that take combating terrorism and money laundering seriously as they do it well, and that they do it well. I urge you to tell your governments how important supervision is to AML-CFT and correspondent banking. And we will continue to press this point in our bilateral and multilateral engagements. Each of our countries is an integral part of the global financial system. We need each other, but we are only as strong as the weakest link. To ensure that we continue to stand strong together, we will continue to engage countries around the world, stressing the importance of effective AML-CFT standards. This is done through multilateral groups like the Financial Action Task Force and the MENA FATF, as well as bilaterally with individual governments. Moving forward, the current environment may be a challenge for banks. The bar may be rising, but banks can meet and even exceed these expectations. This forum is a great start to discuss with peers in private sectors some of the challenges and best practices that banks have developed. Going forward, it is incumbent on you, all the banks, to demonstrate that your banking partners that you've implemented an effective AML-CFT program. Demonstrate that to your banking partners abroad that you hold yourself to as high, if not higher, a standard as they are held by their regulators. Demonstrate your ability to identify and manage risk, keeping criminals and terrorists out of your bank and, in turn, out of your partners' banks. In short, build a solid, trusting relationship with your correspondent partners. We all have the same objective. We all want to fight those who wish to do us harm, to keep terrorists and drug dealers and money launderers out of the international financial system. To do this effectively, we all need to work together. We need strong partnerships between the public and private sector, as well as healthy relationships within the industry. I commit to you all that Treasury will continue to be an active partner in open dialogue. We will continue to hold up our end of the bargain with AML-CFT. In turn, I ask that you all rise to the challenge, implementing AML-CFT policies effectively, and demonstrate to your peers that you're strong and trustworthy financial partners. Thank you.